Okay, Justin, we are live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Hello, how are you doing, Justin?
Hello, good evening. Gutman Kech, Salamat Sizbe, Dobre Din. Yeah, I'm doing very well, actually. It's an honor to be presenting this evening. So thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Justin, for accepting the invitation and being our guest speaker today. It's wonderful to have you, and we're looking forward to hear about Vermont State. So, already our first viewer join us. Good evening, dear friends, Bishkek American Center followers. So we come back with our regular virtual program, Virtual US State Tours, and today we are going to visit Vermont State. And it's my great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, Justin Erkess. He have worked for international schools in Central Europe and Central Asia. Uh, these experiences included teaching English, environmental education, service learning, nutrition education, and martial arts. In spare time, Justin enjoys learning Kyrgyz and Russian languages. And he has also a YouTube channel called Simple Living Nomads Exploration Advice from a World Traveling Geographer. Thank you very much once again, Justin. And also, I would like to remind our friends, so please send us your question and leave comments under this video. And after the presentation, Justin will answer them. So I think we can start our session. Let's go to the trip to
Okay,
Vermont.
sounds good, sounds good. Rahmat, Chung Rahmat, Spasiba Bolshoye. All right, thank you very much again for this opportunity. I have an I do have a degree in geography, so talking about people and places is just it's a real pleasure for me because I've been traveling a lot in my life, and I love to explore and learn about people and places and languages. So this is kind of right up my alley, so to speak. And audience, please do not hesitate to send a question, to ask some questions. All right, I may not have the answer for everything, but I can do my best, and we can also do the research and figure out answer some of these questions, and exchange contact information or something like that. So it's not a problem. But please, I want this to be interactive. I want you to participate and ask good questions. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you some images, and let's get started. So let's travel to the state of Vermont. All right, and just a little bit of geography. Vermont is in the northeast region of the United States. It happens to be in a region called New England. Okay, and Vermont is a very small state. Actually, it's an extremely small state with a small population. So the first image that I'm sharing with you is the state symbol. Okay, every state in the United States has a symbol. So this is what we call the state symbol, and the state symbol, gives you a good idea of the values and kind of what the landscape might be consist of, and also some of the industry. The industry. Now, these symbols were created when the states were founded, so they're kind of old, but they still, can definitely um, represent the state. All right. So as you can see, looking at the state symbol, we have a tree in the center. We do have a cow. It looks like we have some bundles of grain up here, grains. All right, a haystack of some sort, and then a lot of trees, which indicates which represents the landscape of Vermont, which is it's very forested. Okay, there are a lot of trees and forest in the state of Vermont. And then you have the motto, the state motto, which is freedom and unity. All right. So Vermonters are very independent. Okay. They're very, very independent um, people, but they definitely believe in community and unity, within that community. So it's a very kind of like interesting motto, in my opinion, and it's very accurate because the time I've spent in Vermont, I've noticed that Vermonters, they definitely have a free spirit, and they're very self-reliant. They like to do things on their own. That's something they take very seriously. Okay, but when they need assistance, they will definitely, ask their community for assistance, and the community is usually there to assist them. Okay, so yeah, so I think this is very accurate. This state symbol and the motto. Okay, all right. Let's see what else we have here. Give me some, yeah. Okay, so a couple facts that I wanted to point out. I'm not going to read every single, Vermont state fact. You can go to the Vermont state website and read all of these things. I want to give you my personal experience and personal impression and opinions on Vermont, the state of Vermont. So these facts are interesting, but I'm not going to go over all of them. For example, let's see. Yeah, so the first one here, it says Vermont is the second least populous state. All right. I told you earlier that it has a very, very small population, and it's true. It's the second least populous. I forget the first. Maybe it's Wyoming or Montana. I'm not exactly sure. But remember, Vermont is in the northeast region of the United States, which is very densely populated. So Vermont is very special in that sense, is that it's packed, it's close to major urban areas like Boston, like New York, like Philadelphia. It's even not far from Montreal, Canada, from Montreal, Quebec. But it's still not densely populated. So there's a lot of space in Vermont. The capital is called Montpelier, and it's the only capital without a McDonald's restaurant, fast food restaurant, if you could believe it or not. And I've been to Montpelier. It feels like a small town, like a small town. It doesn't feel like a capital city. It's very interesting, and it doesn't have, as the capital city, it doesn't even have the largest population. Burlington, Vermont, has a larger population. Another interesting fact I wanted to point out is that there are no skyscrapers in Vermont. In the capital, no, there's none. And even in the largest city, Burlington, Vermont, you won't find a skyscraper. They're not there. All right. Let's see. 77% of Vermont is covered with trees. All right. So I told you it's a very forested state. There are a lot of trees, definitely a lot of trees. And okay, something else I will mention, and the rest you guys can find this information, anywhere on the internet, really. Vermont was the first state to abolish slavery, okay, to get rid of, to abolish slavery. So those are some fun facts about Vermont. One more thing let me mention is that Vermont is the leading producer of maple syrup, okay, in the United States. And as you would imagine, maple syrup is coming from the maple tree. It's a quite involved process to extract this syrup from the tree, but it's done really well in Vermont. They have the climate, which requires a very cold winter. All right, and you need people that are skilled in this profession. You need people who could really produce this at a high quality. And Vermont is well known for the maple syrup. Americans love maple syrup on pancakes and waffles. Those are two things that we love to pour this, sweet maple syrup on. It would be pancakes. I guess pancakes would be similar to blini, here in Kyrgyzstan. Uh, and waffles, I've never seen waffles in Central Asia, but yeah, uh, they're good. Maple syrup and waffles are really delicious. Okay, let's move forward here. All right, I wanted to show you the state license plate. And this is still the state license plate. I love it, actually. Some states have updated their license plates. In America, each state has their own license plate, and Vermont's license plate has probably been the same for 50 years. I'm not exactly sure, but it's very basic, it's very simple, and that's what Vermont is. It's not a fancy place. It's a very natural place. The people, Vermonters, are down to earth. Is a term that we use. People that they're not, how should I say, not very fancy. They're hardworking individuals, and they're committed to their families. They're committed to their families, and they really respect and appreciate their landscape. All right. And those are similarities that I've noticed and observed between Vermont and Kyrgyzstan. All right. And I have a list of those similarities that I want to share with you guys. But yeah, this is, I love this because it's so plain and basic. And it is actually a good representation of the state of Vermont, this license plate. The Green Mountain State is the nickname because the Green Mountains occupy a good portion of the state of Vermont. The Green Mountains are also a part of the Appalachian chain, which is a famous, very old mountain chain in America, in the eastern part of America. All right, and as you can see, there's a tree up here. But yeah, just really, really not that fancy, and yeah, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys the forest cover. Okay, so this is the state of Vermont right here. Okay, and the green represents forest, trees. Okay, so as you can see, it's a very, very, very forested state, which makes it quite beautiful. And it actually, because there's so many trees in Vermont, and it attracts a lot of tourism in the fall, especially because these leaves start to turn colors, right? It's called the foliage. So there are so many what we call leaf peepers. These are people that travel to the parts of the United States where the foliage can really, where you can take notice of this foliage. It's very beautiful. So you will see trees with leaves turning from green to brown to orange to yellow to red, and it attracts a lot of tourism for the state of Vermont. All right. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but I'm going to read it to you because I want you to know about this. Vermont depends a lot on agriculture. All right, it definitely is an agricultural state, and here are some of the products. So dairy is the number one product, agricultural product, followed by cattle and calves, maple products, turkeys, number 4. Number 5 would be apples. Number 6 would be hay. 7, chicken eggs, sweet corn, honey, and hogs. Okay? So those are just some of the top agricultural products in Vermont. All right? And Vermont has a reputation for high quality agricultural products throughout the country. I mean, everyone in America knows that, the products from Vermont, agricultural products from Vermont are usually very high quality, very high quality. All right, let me see what else we have here. All right, couple, let's see. Yeah, there's a couple more facts that I did want to present to you guys. It says Montpelier, the capital, which has a population under 10,000, is the smallest state capital in the United States. All right, Vermont is considered one of the least racially diverse states in the country, with over 90% of its residents classified as white. Vermont is just one of four states that do not permit advertising on billboards. All right. Now, this is an interesting thing because it's part of their tourism attraction. You know, the fact that they don't have these billboards, these large billboards, large boards used for advertising that, you know, are everywhere in the United States, but Vermont does not allow or permit this. So it's very refreshing to get to Vermont and not have to see, you know, like all of these billboards, these advertisements. So it's attractive for a lot of people from New York City or from Boston or from, you know, a major East Coast city. They go to Vermont and they feel, you know, like it's a more it's not as busy and it's more natural. It's a more natural place. All right, and Vermont is the largest marble producer in the entire country. The state has the least amount of violent crimes in the United States, and Vermont was the first state to outlaw adult slavery. We mentioned that earlier. They abolished, you can say abolished or outlawed. All right, and just to give you an idea of the 10 largest cities in Vermont, you have Burlington with 43,000 residents, which is not that much. Actually, you know, compare if you wanted to compare it to a Kyrgyz city, Burlington and Naringgorat are about the same, have about the same population. And Burlington is the largest city in the state of Vermont. Okay. And so it just goes down from here. And Brattleboro is in the southern part of the state with about, you know, 7,000 people. Just to give you an idea, there are really no, you know, major urban areas, no metropolises in Vermont. And again, that is attractive for a lot of people in these bigger cities like Boston, like New York, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia. Vermont is a place to relax and to slow down and to see nature and not be around so many people and not so much traffic. So again, Vermont is very dependent on agriculture and tourism. Okay. All right, and let's see here. What can we talk about now? Okay, just a couple facts that I will mention. Vermont was actually not one of the original 13 colonies. It's the 14th state. All right, it's the 14th state, entered the Union on March 4th, 1791. All right, talked about the state motto. And yeah, this is just information. Every American state has a bunch of these things, like a state flower, a state animal. So this is interesting. The state animal happens to be a horse. All right, something, you know, something that Kyrgyzstan values and appreciates very much. So again, there are some similarities, and I do want to talk about the similarities actually. All right. In fact, let's do that now. Let me find that. Yeah. All right. So, friends, here are some of the things that I have observed. All right. Being in Central Asia for about 1 year now and spending some significant time in Vermont, these are the similarities that I've noticed. All right. So, for one, they're both small places, right? Kyrgyzstan is a small country and Vermont is a small state. And of course, Kyrgyzstan is very mountainous, and so is Vermont. Okay. Now, Vermont does not have, you know, tall mountains like Kyrgyzstan. In fact, the highest point in Vermont, which is Mount Mansfield, is about 4,400 feet. I'm not sure how many meters that is, but yeah, it's not, it's definitely not an outrageously tall mountain, but there are a lot of hills in Vermont and smaller mountains actually. All right, the population is hardworking. Vermonters, they work hard. They work really hard, and so do Kyrgyz people. So that's a similarity I've noticed. Uh, Citizens of Vermont and both Kyrgyzstan, I believe, appreciate the natural landscape. They appreciate the mountains, the forests, the rivers, the wildlife. Okay, and that's what attracts me to both of these places. There is a beautiful natural landscape both here in Kyrgyzstan and Vermont, and but people appreciate the landscape. And I think that's very important, actually. All right, agriculture and tourism are both important industries. Um, there's a strong focus on family and community in both Vermont and Kyrgyzstan. Okay, in Kyrgyzstan, I've never seen anything stronger. And I've never seen a stronger focus on family and community than I have here in Kyrgyzstan. But I will say that Vermont is similar. Is definitely similar. It's not exactly the same as Central Asia, but it's very similar. Something I've noticed is that children in both Vermont and Kyrgyzstan, they can be outside, they can be in nature actually with a group or by themselves, and it's okay, like because I feel like both places are fairly safe because of low crime. Children have more opportunities to explore and just be children actually. So I think that's great. I think that's really great. And again, low crime, I've noticed in both places. Creative and resourceful population. I feel like Kyrgyz people are extremely creative and quite resourceful, extremely resourceful, actually. And I feel the same about Vermonters. I've noticed this about Vermonters as well. And I've noticed that populations that are that people that grow up in these beautiful natural landscapes, I've noticed that the creativity, there might be more creativity coming from these type of populations than other places. It's interesting for me. Focus on sustainability. So Vermont is a leader in organic agriculture. All right, farming without chemicals and foreign substances and things like that. They are one of the leaders in America in organic agriculture. And, I think Kyrgyzstan is also does a lot of this type of farming, organically producing fruits and vegetables and things like that, and food. Four seasons, there's Vermont experiences a very harsh winter. And I think, especially in Narin Oblast, winter can be quite harsh, it can be quite harsh. So that's a similarity. Bishkek and Burlington are cities with a village feel. So, yeah, I mean, I've spent time in both of those places, and they're very dynamic urban areas, in my opinion, but they don't feel, like London or Tokyo or Hong Kong. The vibe and overall feeling, in my opinion, is that yeah, they're dynamic, they're urban, they're built up. There are many shops and services and things for people, but it's still kind of laid back and kind of feels like a village at times. A big village, let's say. Okay, and the last similarity that I wanted to mention is that villages, small cities, towns outnumber large urban areas. And that's true for both places, Vermont and Kyrgyzstan. Okay, all right, let's see how we're doing here. I just want to check in with the moderator. Hello?
I'm here.
Hello?
hear me?
Yeah, this is Justin Erkess.
Sorry.
All right.
Patient. Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I hope you heard my presentation.
Good,
Yes?
sure. I was
Ah,
behind
super. Jakshi. All right.
here.
Now, tell me what you want next. I mean, I could definitely take us to a northern Vermont farm for a few minutes, or we can open it up for questions. It's up to you. Just let me know what you want.
Happy to receive the questions. Maybe we will have this.
Yeah.
And I really love the part of your presentation when you distinguish the similar, or how to say, you find similarities between Vermont and
Mm, sure.
amazing. And I really like that Vermont is forested state and almost huge part
Yeah. Both places are physically beautiful. I can honestly tell you, you know, that both places, Kyrgyzstan, the nation, the republic, and Vermont, the state, they're just physically beautiful, you know. And I feel like with this physical beauty, it affects the population. You know, it really does. It affects the people in a good way. You know, in most cases, and it makes it pleasurable for even me, you know, as a Pennsylvanian, a guy from Philadelphia. I'm born and raised in Philadelphia, which is a great place too. But when I'm in Kyrgyzstan, when I'm in Vermont, when I'm in Oregon, when I'm in, you know, some of these beautiful places, very natural landscapes, it I feel it. You know, I feel the energy from the nature. You know, from the rivers, from the trees, and the mountains. You know, the beautiful landscape. So it's nice.
of I see your love in this presentation. Thank you very much, Jeff, for the wonderful journey to Vermont state.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
everyone is very thankful. I thank Justin for your presentation,
Oh, my pleasure.
for this
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah.
What is your favorite place in Vermont?
Ah, yeah. This is a very good question. A very good question. You know what? It's something I didn't even prepare. So let me think for a minute. Let me think for a minute. I have several, there are several parts of Vermont, several places in Vermont that uh, I really like, I really love. But I will say this. I will say probably Alberg, Vermont. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you a short story explanation. Alberg is a part of what they call the Champlain Islands. The Champlain Islands are a chain of islands that are in Lake Champlain, which separates New York State and Vermont. So when I was applying for college, when I was ready to transfer to a four-year university, I found a small B&B, bed and breakfast in a small town called Alberg, all right, Vermont, in northern Vermont. And I met a very nice woman who became kind of my mentor. And because she was actually an anthropologist, I was studying geography, cultural geography, and she was a cultural anthropologist at McGill University. So, long story short, I started working at her B&B on the weekends, and she had an amazing library, a great library, and she gave me a lot of advice on my studies. So that I would say is my favorite place, Alberg, Vermont. Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of Alberg, which is northern Vermont, and it's very close to the Quebec border. This place, it's very close to Canada, very close to the Quebec border. Okay.
Mm.
Anything else, my friends?
Thank you very much, Justin.
Yeah, my
So,
pleasure.
one more question.
Okay,
Uh,
excellent.
what would you advise for those who are looking for a way to get outside with their family?
Oh, all right. But where? Where? Just in general? I mean, in Kyrgyzstan or in Vermont? Where?
In Vermont.
Good question. I like the question. But where are they talking about? Do you know?
We have here, we receive questions in Facebook. We also have YouTube channel, and also we have WhatsApp groups where viewers can send their questions. So I'm
Yeah.
checking out.
Let me answer that question. I can give you I can give you a good answer to that. I always suggest exploring your area first. Okay, wherever you are, it doesn't matter, U.S. or Europe or Central Asia, Africa. It doesn't matter. I always suggest to people explore your region, explore your area, because everyone wants to escape their area. You know, a lot of people want to go, for example, most Bishkek people, the first place they go is to Isikul. And that's a good place to visit. Believe me, I know. But there are also really interesting places that are close to us that a lot of times we overlook. So my suggestion is to always look at maps. You know, look at the maps and look what's close to you. You know, look what's close to you, and explore. You know, these places that are closer to you. That's my suggestion. I'm having so much fun right now just exploring the city of Narin Gorod. Это все. Okay? I'm only exploring inside of Narin. And I'm finding a lot of interesting things, you know, within the city limits. So yeah, I suggest that.
Thank you very much, Justin, for the
Yeah,
recommendation.
no problem.
What is your favorite place in Kyrgyzstan? How many regions?
Um, It's a good question, and to be honest, I'm not well traveled in Kyrgyzstan. I'm really not. That's part of my goal is to explore, you know, as much as I can in Kyrgyzstan, because every place I've been in Kyrgyzstan so far, I've liked. You know, Bishkek, I think, is a great city. I had a wonderful experience in Bishkek. Uh, I've been to Karakol. I'm in Narin. Uh, I haven't even spent time in Isikul, to be honest. I have not, you know, and I will. But I want to get to Osh. I want to visit Jalalabad. I want to get to Batken. You know, I want to explore this country. That's my goal. That's my goal. So every place I like. I really, you know, for me as a geographer, I always find something I like in every place. All right, it's just my nature. It's my nature. You know, no matter where I am in the world, I'm going to find something that I appreciate, that I like. You know, so I'm sorry, I didn't give the answer that everyone wants to hear. Probably Istanbul, Istanbul, Istanbul. But I love, for example, I will tell you that in Bishkek, I love Ala Archa. You know, I think that's a wonderful park. I think it's a beautiful place, and it's so close to Bishkek. You know, so I like it a lot.
All right. I agree with you, Justin.
Yeah.
Very much. Uh,
And I also like Ata Isik, Isikata, Isik Ata. You know this place? That's a
yes.
nice place too. You know, close to Bishkek. So yeah, with COVID and my work schedule, I haven't been able to explore as much of Kyrgyzstan as I would like to. But the plan is to travel quite a bit. We'll see.
Mm. We'll see one more. Uh, did you check the antique shop in Karakol?
Antique shop in Caracol. No, I did not. I went to a secondhand shop, I believe, in Caracol. But you know, I had a very nice experience in a hostel right in the center of Caracol. I forget the name of it at the moment, but this place was a nice, decent hostel, and the employees were very knowledgeable, very generous with information, and we were able to have an amazing hiking experience in the mountains. You know, and it was very inexpensive to stay at this hostel as well. So that's what I can say about Caracol. I was only there for maybe 3 or 4 days, I think, in total. 3 or 4 days, but I liked it. I liked Caracol. Yeah, the nature that surrounds Caracol is amazing, absolutely amazing. But the town itself is it's a nice place. I like it. I like it. So,
Thank you very much, Justin. Uh,
yeah.
how do you call people from Vermont?
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
How do you call people from Vermont?
Ah, it's a good question. Yeah, so people from my home state, Pennsylvania, are considered to be Pennsylvanians. Okay, but in Vermont, they're Vermonters. That's what we call people from Vermont, Vermonters.
Vermont.
Yeah, and I could never claim to be a Vermonter. I have a short history in the state, but it's a very meaningful. I had a very meaningful experiences in Vermont, so I feel comfortable, discussing, talking about the state because I've had some very valuable time there. Very valuable time. But Vermonters are, you know. They're a little bit standoffish at first. Okay, they're very friendly. They're very friendly. But for a Vermonter to bring you in, to their home or to bring you into their circle of people, it takes some time. It takes some time. I think Kyrgyz people are like that also. I mean, the hospitality and the gratitude and the hospitality is amazing here, absolutely amazing. But if you really want to build a strong friendship and strong connections in Central Asia, it takes a little bit of time. I don't think it happens overnight, in my opinion. In my opinion, but I like that. To me, this is a valuable characteristic of a society. When people they're hospitable, they're kind, they're pleasant, but they're also, going to be cautious, of who they bring into their inner circle. You understand? So I find that another similarity between Vermonters and Kyrgyz people. Very kind and pleasant, but it takes a little bit of time to really get close to them. Which I think is good. I think it's a good thing, in my opinion. All right.
Thank
Yeah.
kind of like uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, and if you want, I could even I don't know how much longer you want to go with this, but I do have some images. I could just kind of go, show some of the images if you want. It's up to you.
Mm, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Question. Uh,
go ahead.
do you ever see the tree?
That question I couldn't understand. I'm sorry, I didn't get that question.
Mhm. Maybe we clarify the question. The next question. Is it expensive to live or study in Vermont State?
Yeah, okay, that's a very good question. So let me make sure I have the question correct. Is the person at, okay, this is the skyline, this is Burlington, Vermont. It's not the capital, but it's the largest city, okay? And the water here is called, this is Lake Champlain, okay? Lake Champlain, and the Green Mountains are in the background, all right? The Green Mountains. Burlington is a very beautiful city, a very beautiful city. Okay. Um,
Okay,
yeah,
very
the answer is yes. Vermont is expensive in some ways. It can be pretty expensive, and to study in Vermont is also it's expensive. From my understanding, from my research, it could be it could be quite expensive. If you don't have assistance, financial aid, or some assistance. It is one of the more expensive states to get an education, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and earlier I described the fall foliage, okay, when the trees, when the leaves start to change colors. So this is an example of a small Vermont, town, and in the fall, during the fall. So you'll have a lot of tourism during the fall because people want to see, these older structures, uh, and also the colors, the beautiful colors. Can you see it? Can you see this image?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. And okay, here's another image I wanted to share. So this is like a magazine. This is a village store. So in Bishkek, this would be similar to a dukon or a magazine. Uh, So yeah, so it's not like the fanciest looking thing, but I'm sure you will get good service, right? Because Vermonters are pretty hardworking people, to be honest, and uh, and I'm sure there are going to be good products in here. If they're serving food, the food's going to be pretty decent, and if they're selling products in here, they're going to be pretty good, of high quality, of high quality. So I just wanted you to see a small village store, okay? Um, and that's all I have of those. Um, and if you want, I can just show you some of the farm photographs that I have. Um, all right, just give me 1 second here. Yeah, so this is this is a large uh, leaf of kale, one of the green vegetables that grows really well in Vermont. Kale, and this is huge, as you can see. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and yeah, everyone's involved. Like if there's a family farm in Vermont, everyone participates. Like in Kyrgyzstan, everyone in the household is doing something. So this is the daughter of the farm family that I was working with, and
Mm-hmm.
those are tomatoes that she has. All right, and just some produce that we were growing, in the early days of the farm, some produce. All right, and this is the actual farm here, and a raspberry bush.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, harvesting some raspberries here. Now, this is interesting. I told you before that Vermont is one of the leaders in organic agriculture. And here's what people do, believe it or not. This is what I did, actually. I contacted the farm, all right? I contacted this woman, Hannah. She's the one in the red shirt. She's got like a red top on. And I called her up and asked her if she was accepting any interns, all right? Because a lot of these farms are not, wealthy farms. They don't make a lot of money. But what they'll do is they will uh, let you live on the farm, okay, in exchange for your labor, all right? So this woman here, she stayed at the farm. She made maybe $100 per month, like that was her payment, $100 per month. But she was lodged and also fed, okay? And she would work on the farm for the family. So that's what I did as well for about 2 summers. While I lived in New York City, during the school year, I was a teacher in New York City, and in the summer, I would go to Vermont and work on this farm. Okay, so we call those people like interns, because a lot of people just want the experience. You know, they really appreciate the actual experience of agriculture, learning how to be a farmer. All right, these are this is the grandfather here and the grandson at the family farm in Franklin County, northern Vermont. Very nice people. This is with two of the interns that are processing cabbage. This is kapusta, okay? And they are fermenting the kapusta, making a sauerkraut. We call it sauerkraut. All right, just adding some salt and a little bit of a little bit of water, and letting it sit at room temperature for several days. And the product is called sauerkraut. It's a fermented product, which is very healthy. It's good for health. And obviously, hay. These are bales of hay, and I was a part of the team that would have to put the hay into the barn. So it was collected from the fields. All right, it was baled. We call it baled when it gets put into these squares like this, and then those bales of hay have to be stored in the barn and it's a very, very, very challenging job to put these bales. Some of them are between 50 and 75 pounds. I'm not sure how many kilograms, but they're very heavy, very, very heavy. And it's very hot. It's at the end of the summer. And it's one of the toughest jobs I've ever done in my life, actually, but very rewarding. Okay. And this is where we would bag and prepare for customers the produce that was grown, and this was the preparation room for cleaning and also bagging up the different vegetables. This is me after working all day in the barn, putting hay into the barn. I think I'm ready to die. I mean, I'm exhausted at this point. I'm absolutely exhausted. All right, so my friends, that's a trip to Vermont, and I hope you enjoyed this experience.
Very much. Thank you for sharing. Uh, we receive one more question for you, Justin.
Yeah, good. Please.
I heard that there are many ice cream flavors.
Ah,
Opportunity to name your own flavor of ice cream. How would you call it?
yeah, that's a good one. That's a very, very good question. And let me make the connection for you. Is because Vermont is known for dairy, okay, for dairy production. And one of the most famous American ice cream companies called Ben and Jerry's, is located in Vermont. So it's a very good question. And I have no idea, actually. I would call my flavor shashlik ice cream flavor. If they can make shashlik potato chips, then guess what? They can make a shashlik ice cream flavor. Yeah, I think so. I would try it. I would. I love. I love milk. I love meat. I love shashlik. I would try it.
Many
Good question. Hmm.
ice cream companies will produce ice cream flavor
Hmm.
with flavor.
Shashlik. Yeah, that would be interesting. But Ben and Jerry's is a very, very famous ice cream company, and the ice cream is delicious, absolutely delicious. Yeah. So, good question. Very good question.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah,
Uh,
my pleasure.
you? Is Vermont requiring a quarantine for out-of-state visitors? It is
Ah,
said there are many COVID restrictions there.
yeah. You know what? I have to be honest. I really don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Um, from what I've been seeing on Facebook, I have a lot of friends from Vermont on Facebook, And I think things are pretty normal in that in New England, in the north, in New England, we call it New England, in northeastern United States. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to answer that. I'm not 100% sure. So, but a good question, a very good question.
Thank you very much, Justin. So,
Yeah.
our last question.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the amazing presentation, for sharing your personal stories. It was wonderful to today, and it was really informative and very useful and very interesting. Thank you very much, Justin. And also, I would like to say thank you to our viewers who sent us their questions and with their comments. You are the best viewers ever. Thank you very much. And time.
Very good questions. Very good questions. It's a pleasure to present when people are asking, intelligent questions, good questions. So excellent. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Good.
Thank you, Justin, for discovering Vermont to our viewers. I think
Excellent.
good. Thank you very much.
My
And
pleasure.
goodbye,
Okay.
everyone.
Чак шекал. Рахмат. Рахмат. До свидания. Пока.
Yaxshi qolinglar.
Чак шекал.